Just got back from Iowa. Now, I must tell you, Westland, Oregon, so Portland International Airport, okay, to get to Cedar Rapids Airport is a very hard thing to do. It's a very tough, and you're going to get laid up in Dallas-Fort Worth. And you got one flight to catch, but it comes in from Portland, and you got to get off that plane and run and get to the other one before they shut the boarding door. At any rate, I have a great time. And it's largely because of how much that team likes one another. Here, let me give you a great story. So, I pop in, and they got a freestyle practice going on. So, Caliendo explains to me that he's entering the trials. And we got a few trials coming up, 2 different trials that he would be eligible for. So I then find out it's the World Team Trials. Okay, great. Well, but they're all called the World Team Trials. Are we talking U23? Are we talking senior? And he's qualified for senior. So I get to the bottom of it, and NCAA finalists are eligible for the senior trials. That's the one he's going to. Okay, great. But then the Hawkeyes got a guy that's going to go out to the U23s and go through that whole process. And, I mean, you got a defending, or at least a former champion for U20. And, Gabe Arnold. You got the reigning world silver medalist for U23, right? Ben standing right there. And you got Spencer Lee getting ready for the Olympic Games. Spencer's always got somebody coming to town. I heard Vito was just out there. I didn't get to see that with my own eyes, but I heard that. And the point that I'm getting at is you got just a couple of guys with competitions coming up, but you got 30 guys in the room. So I am asking the 30 guys. I am asking, if you're not going to the trials, if you're not going to U23s, why are you here? And by the way, it's 2 workouts a day. And they're happy to be there. And they're smiling. And one's over in the weight room. They get it on. They come back in. They get on the mats. But I'm still trying to figure out, what are you here for? If you're not doing freestyle this season, what are you here for? And I just kept getting the same answer. Caliendo is going to the World Trials. I'm his teammate. Spencer's got his eye on the 2028 Olympics. I'm his teammate. And no matter how many guys I ask, I keep getting the same answer. I am here to do freestyle because he's here to do freestyle. And even if it comes down to a couple of guys, on one hand, you could count how many guys are going to compete. There's 30 guys in the room because that's their teammate. And that is a rare attitude. And nationally speaking, I would be surprised if you could find 5 rooms on a Division I or higher level that can produce 30 athletes showing up for freestyle practice. And when I'm in there, I can't help but notice, okay, Marinelli is going to wrestle Angelo Ferrari. Now, I got to follow the same code as anybody else. What I see in a practice room has got to, right? But it was hard. Joe Williams came in. This might impress you. Joe Williams, who is royalty to the community, but particularly to that room. He won 3 NCAA titles. And yes, I said 3. The year he didn't win, he should have redshirt. He did not redshirt and still All-American. So he All-Americans without a red shirt, takes a red shirt, goes and wins 3. Okay. But he's in the room, and of all the things that are going on, that's the one he's watching. Just to let you know, like there was a different intensity with the Bull versus the Ferrari. And they decided that they were going to go folk style. They're going to do collegiate. Ferrari was like about 25 of the 30 guys. Even though he's at a freestyle workout, he's getting ready for a collegiate season. And it was just very interesting. It was interesting the communication they had. But these two, I mean, a brawl breaks out. It's a mess. And guys are keeping their space. Everybody in the room is trying to watch what's going on while paying attention to other things. And I asked Marinelli when it was over. I said, how does he feel? Because when I watch Angelo Ferrari, I am watching, what I'm seeing is one of the great talents that I've ever seen for that age. For a redshirt, for a freshman, for a teenager, for a boy. The moves and the position, the speed, the urgency, the way he can hold position, the way he can set up, the way he can misdirect. He's as skilled of a wrestler as I've ever seen for that age. And so I asked the bull, I said, man, what does he feel like? And the bull answered me, and I said, man, were you guys going as hard as it looked? And he said, yeah. He said, we try to do that about once a week. And so then I said to the bull, I said, man, this is Alex Marinelli, but I said, Alex, you're working oddly hard. I mean, I can't help but notice, like, there's things after practice that if you're the coach, you don't do. There's things that you don't have to do, but then there's things that you don't do. Like you don't go grab the rope and climb it 5 times just because everybody else has to do it. When you're the coach, you've put your time of climbing in, and now you're going to be the one that says climb. And in this case, for this workout, it was push-ups. There's some weird push-up game where you just keep doing push-ups. There's an exercise, and I think you do 1 push-up, then the other guy does 1, and then you do 2 push-ups, and he does 2. Then you do 3 push-ups, then he does 3. But you do that up to 7, and then you do it in reverse. So now so as you work your way to 7, but then you come back 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a very hard thing, and I think that's the game that they played. But it was something along these lines where they got to do push-ups forever to where, like, their arms are giving out. And I just noticed that Alex did these. And I said, that's not something a coach, that's not something a retired athlete would do. And Alex could not have retired at a worse time. I mean, it was just it was a total mess. And in Alex's personal life, which has become very public, like, there's nothing he could do. That dude's been through some stuff. Like, on a personal level, he's done more growing and had more pain and had to overcome and figure things out at a young age. I mean, it's unbelievable. And when he did retire, I remember thinking, you're too young to make that decision. He's 25 years old, but he's been married for 3 years. What are these examples? He's 25 years old. Didn't reach his goal. He's super hungry. Had every kind of surgery on your knee. You can have, like, sometimes you got to just take a breath. And sometimes you got to just little time go. And at any rate, he retires. And we don't even have the information at that time about the 79 kilograms, for example. Right? It went from 74 on up to 86. So we don't even have the information about how this is going to be contested. Now we don't know what Dake's going to do. It looks as though Burroughs is retired, even though he hasn't said anything. Levi Haynes and Funkello, just for example, aren't competing this season, and it looks like O'Toole, with an injury, is also out. Jason Nolf retired. I mean, this is right off the top of my head. The bull didn't have the right information when he put this formula in and spit out the answer, and I'm just watching him. And I went and asked him about it. I said, man, what's going on here? I can't help but notice those push-ups. I can't help but notice this intensity. I can't help but notice you came in here, could have picked any partner and chose to pick the hardest partner. Like, what is it that I'm missing? You're coming back, aren't you? And he wouldn't give it to me. So I went and asked Joe the same question, Joe Williams. I said, man, are you watching Marinelli? He's not training like a guy that used to wrestle. And Joe agreed. I couldn't get the full. I couldn't get him to say it was coming back. But if you train like that, do you have to say you're coming back? I mean, if you go in the practice room twice a day, you find the hardest guy, you do the condition at the end, aren't you? Doesn't that mean you're back?